Welcome, Slantinos, to another edition of Unscripted. That's right. This is where there are no notes, no edits, no research. Well, I'll get to that in a second. No script, no guests, no co-hosts, just me and my honest, unedited monologue of some ideas of this past week, and then you get to take over and you get to tell me what your thoughts are on on the comments and stuff. I feel like there's an empty space here, right? And whenever I feel like that, I get OCD because I just put this hat on and I realized I took a hat away, but I have so many. So here we go. I'm telling you, man. You talk about unscripted. Ay, por Dios, por Dios. Only a blank deals in absolutes. So, under that whole idea, we're going to talk about this country singer coming out on the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, Turning Point, and their counter programming, and Columbus Day, People's Indigenous Day. These absolute group think, bink, bink, blink, blink. We're gonna deal with that. But it was a good week, man. We had a good week. So, like I said, the only thing that is scripted is the merchandise that we're gonna push right now. That's right. Defund the Thought Police T-shirts. I do have the T-shirt on. You can't see it, but da 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 coffee mug. We have the links to the mug and to the T-shirt, the biggest sellers on our merchandise, there for you in the video box description, and I'm gonna pin it as the first comment. So yeah, Defund the Thought Police came up with it several years ago when we were going through all this mess, and it's been a lot of fun. You know, people have been digging this. Do a coffee cup, do a different T-shirt, do a different colored T-shirt. So right now I am drinking chamomile tea. So, what might be cool is we get Twinnings, Good Earth, Wild Leaf tea companies to sponsor Unscripted. There you go. But you can help right now and support the channel by hitting them some merchandise. And if you're a member, you also get a nice discount. All right. God, I love good tea. I love good tea. So only a blank deals in absolutes, and of course that's from the line only a Sith deals in absolutes. This absolute thing, it's really killing us. I want to tell you, yesterday I had to go do an errand in downtown Culver City, which is basically a 4 or 5 block radius of City Hall, old historic buildings, even a hotel, really cute little downtown. And they have really restored it and built around Culver City as a whole is like the place to live. And we're adjacent to it. I had to do an errand to fix the phone. So I was without a phone for an hour. That was interesting. I was trying to find a parking spot, but then I realized I didn't have listen, I realized I couldn't find a way to pay for it without the phone. I didn't have change on me. I only had cash. They didn't take cash. So I was walking around looking for change, and I saw a pro-Palestine march, or like a rally in front of the City Hall, Culver City. Very small, very small. It's a small town, like I told you. And I was looking like 2 blocks down. I was like, man, are they on the street? Are they, disrupting traffic? I didn't pay any mind. Most of the people that are in that little downtown weren't paying it mind because there's so many restaurants, people walking, uh, the whole thing. And people were going about their day. So I went about my day. I decided to go to the park. I drove to the park, and we always have in my trunk my rollerblades. And I was like, man, Paulie, you haven't done rollerblades in a while. Let's get that in. So listen, I didn't fall. I looked pretty silly, but I did it for like a half hour, and then I was like, okay, my phone's ready. I had the knee pads, elbows, and wrist guards. I had the whole guards. I looked pretty silly. I actually didn't really care because it was such a nice day. There was a lot of joy there, and I really only worked, practice for about like a 3-block radius because I didn't want to like get onto any major roads. It was just like very, very calm, quiet neighborhood that's in the back of the park. And of course, you notice all the things that people in the park do. It's really wonderful. Fathers and son playing soccer, baseball, basketball, some groups of families doing their thing, and life goes on. It was wonderful. So I got back in the car and I drove back, and I was driving back. I was like, oh, I'm going to run into those protesters. I'm going to see those protesters. And the light nearest to City Hall was red. And I stopped. I was noticing there was a family that was walking right in front of me, crossing the street. They had the green light. It's a family of 4. And here's what I remember. Father and a mom, I believe it was, I can't, one of the parents was carrying a Palestine flag, big Palestine flag. And one of the parents was carrying the kids, the 2 kids in they have like those little, you know, uh, what do you call it? God, I'm like losing it. It's like a little, oh my God, it's like a little hall. Like you put the kids in, it's on 4 wheels and you pull it. What is that word, Paulie? Listen, this is really unscripted. They look like an all-American family in the regards of like, they had nice bags, had nice clothes, they were doing their thing, and they were just doing their. In this case, they went to a protest, and this gentleman and I believe 1 or 2 of the parents even had one of the scarves, in support. So they're crossing. I was like, okay, whatever. And then all of a sudden, a big truck comes screeching, halting, driving past them, stops in the middle of the road. Big mother trucker. And the guy screaming out there says, "You effing terrorists." And he gives them the finger. So I obviously was a little shocked, taken aback. There's a couple things, right? And he took off right away. I believe this guy was Latino because I got a good look, like it was right there. And he had a guy in the passenger. I think the guy in the passenger was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they went on their way. And I'm just wondering, okay, you don't believe in this cause, but does that give you cause to do what you did and say what you said in front of these children? So does that give more gasoline to these parents so they can teach their kids something about the other side, the absolutes, right? Will that further reinforce our absolute think in this particular case, pro-Palestine, anti-Palestine? So it was a disheartening exchange because ultimately there's probably a lot more in common with that driver that felt compelled to stop in the middle of the road, screech, yell that expletive and give them the bird. And it's clear it's a family of 4. And they are, I got a good look at this family. They are so unassuming, non-threatening that I'm like, well, are you like a tough guy now? What the heck, man? If you're on that, if you're on, like, where are you then with your family values and how you treat people? Because clearly, one of the things we do is teach our children as well as we can. We don't teach them to behave like that. In fact, there's probably more in common with how to, bring up a family of four. And it was just, it just reminds me of when you're so emboldened of this absolute think that when you're actually, online and on social media, when you actually face it in front of you, how you behave. And we're seeing this, right? We're seeing this a lot, how people are behaving um, in regards to social issues that are happening, political issues that are happening right in front of our face, from protesting and being violent against ICE and against the authorities to um, taking out commentators that you don't agree with, being violently creating, making taking a violent action against political figures on the left and the right. By the way, it's happened this year. Political figures on the left, on the right. So, what is that absolute think in us? Because it doesn't, to me, the results are not going to be good. The results are not going to be good. There's going to be no room for an adult conversation, a discussion, much less any type of compromise. And I was that's a word I wanted to talk about in these ideas here, because there's a certain amount of humbled pie we have to take when we compromise. We compromise every day. And that is, in my opinion, a real good thing, because it says that you are coming from a place of humility and being of service, and not from one of arrogance and aggression. And I will tell you right now, coming from a place of humility is way more powerful than that of aggression. So yeah, man, I saw that. That wasn't cool. That wasn't cool at all. Let's move on though, because all these things I'm going to give examples to. It's all the same thing. This country singer, this country singer who's from the Rio Grande Valley, I believe. I can't remember his name. Okay, from South Texas. He's, I believe, I forgot the town. Either he's from Brownsville or San Benito, one of those towns. I've been there. I dated a woman who's from San Benito. It is all brown. I mean, it was a culture shock for me. I grew up in LA. Yeah, you're around everybody here. But there, that's the majority. And it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating, from of a culture of a city. And these are really nice towns, man. I remember having a great time. Um, and that's where this guy's from. And that's where Selena's not from the Rio Grande Valley. She's from Corpus. But go to Donna, you go to all these towns. Bella, Bella, I'm not so sure about. Donna, for sure, I know is a town, and it's a majority of Mexican American citizens. So it's always interesting to go to these towns where, like, there's a super majority of something that you're not used to, and that you're not part of that ethnic culture. Okay, that's his country singer, and he had some words in his new country song where he just didn't like ICE. He doesn't like what it's doing to families. He doesn't like what it's doing to and to America, and where he's coming from. This is where he's coming from. This is who he is. And what happened? 100% absolute backlash from the right, saying he's anti-American, get out of America, you call yourself an American, all these things, all these hateful things. Never Is there a moment, a chance, an encounter, a question to say, what is South Texas really all about? Because I don't know. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm from Washington, D.C. I mean, how have we become so ignorant and uneducated about our own country, about the demographics, the different topography even of our country, man. It blows me away, and it's one of the things that I am very happy that I have always done, and I continue to do is I travel the states, and I've told you this. I've told you this. So you have these, absoluters trying to cancel him, and I don't think that's right, man. Like I said, I think he's also a big proponent of Gulf of Mexico. So am I. I think I think if we're going to, I'm not a person that believes in taking down statues, learning from them. Um, some are harder than others, right? Some are harder to digest than others, but that's the price of a free society, man. So it's always been Gulf of Mexico, even before this. The United States were a country, much less Texas part of Mexico, of America. It just seems very strange. But to call someone anti-American about that, it's absolute think, man. It is not. That's not the way to go about it. This other thing too with the Super Bowl and Bad Bunny. There is now, what are they called? Turning Point. They've created a counter Super Bowl party, all American, all family programming, and I guess it's gonna have Lee Greenwood, Travis Tritt, and Kid Rock, Mr. Cultural Appropriator himself of hip hop and rock. Okay. And I know I like some of his old songs, man. I don't know if he's done anything new, but we've talked about music before, guys. I've talked about this a lot. I'm not going to go down there again. What I will say is, one is that how are you going to have so many bands play for 15 minutes? Because it's a fit. So what are you trying to say? We don't even want you to watch the NFL at all, the football game at all. This absolute all or nothing. You're with us or not. Counter reaction. Will all this kind of cultural absolutism start, or has it started already seeping into some sort of discussion of a civil break of countries, of this country? It's happened before, dude. This is not new. It's happened before, right? And it is not a pretty process. So if you're absolutism, you just can't take any there's no room at all for nuance, for the gray area, for discussion. Then yeah, maybe we are better off separate, which is crazy coming from me. So yeah, I guess they're gonna do this entire football thing. I don't know what. I find it all incredibly childish. Help me understand. You're saying that he's so un-American. He didn't stand up to the for the, was it national, was it God Bless America, whatever it was. He was at a recent playoff game of the baseballs and he didn't stand up. No one has to stand up. It's at a sports event and they ask you, would you please join us in the singing of our national anthem? Please take your hat off. I was just there at a baseball game, the playoffs, and everything stops. We're at Dodger Stadium. We're literally in line ordering our food. Everything stopped. The workers, boom, they all took their hats off, boom. So did me and my buddy. Not everyone did. Life goes on. Well, what are we talking about here? What are we going to do with those people? What are we going to do with those people that don't stand up and salute the flag? Take off their hat. Remember, like older generations, you take your hat off. Get up, boy. What are we going to do with those people? That's crazy, man. Now, if their anti-Americanism leads to an unhealthy discourse, that's a different story. But if anyone's just expressing themselves like, I'm not, too crazy about what's happening in with American government nowadays. I'm gonna tap out on this. Cool. That's great. I'm not, this now's not the time to have a discussion on the positives of this country and the people, maybe some other time. But that's the thing. If I aggressively say, hey man, take your damn hat off. Stand up with us. You think that guy will ever listen to me again? Whereas maybe that buddy that I know, when he didn't do that, later on we can have a talk. Hey, what's going on, man? How come you didn't stand up with us? Everything all right? And then he will either, or she will either, let their feelings be known. But how can we? Are we going to be so afraid to listen to that other side, to that other opinion, where we can't even take it anymore? Oh, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. No. Listen, I fundamentally disagree. You are doing this. You're killing that. You are killing this. You're taking that right away. How are you going to let if I disagree with you here, how everything on that 9 out of 10 we agree on, that 10 you decided it's over for us as far as friendship, as far as a relationship. How's that work out, man? How can we go on? Let's go wrap it up with Columbus Day, People's Indigenous Day. Okay. It's the same thing that you're getting from in regards to Columbus Day, coming back as Columbus Day. It was called People Indigenous Day for the last few years. It doesn't have the same ring as Columbus Day, but for me, it has a deeper meaning that should be equally celebrated, which is, what was the history of this other side, the side that quote unquote got conquered? You take the root word of colonize, colon, that is to Christopher Colon. That was his name. That is the root of colonization. So you got that. But if you're coming at an angle with, this was one of the greatest people ever, and his explorations, and he opened up to a new world. There wasn't a new world. There was a new world for half of y'all, but this other world existed already, many for thousands of years, many civilizations. Under again, the education is so off that you don't realize how developed a lot of these civilizations are and what they have given to us. That we should celebrate. We can celebrate both, but don't erase both. That is ridiculous. But each side is trying to erase both. I'm not down with that. You read the life of Christopher Colon, and it's fascinating how he got to where he got, all the variables that happened. What's not fascinating, of course, is all the awful things under his leadership that were done. But you learn about the Taino people, the Olmecs, the Toltecs, there's so many that have nothing to do with the quote unquote media or the history of human sacrifice of other tribes, that it's really unfortunate. this is a time to spotlight that. No one's saying, erase this, erase that, but this absolutism where it's got to be one or the other. Again, you're shutting the door, you're pissing on, you're taking away from other people who are American, by the way. At this stage of the game, we're all American. But they have a completely different history, default setting than you do. But because, listen, Christianity, and he did this, and they were savages, you got this, weird post-woke social media intake of information from certain algorithms, absolutism, then you are screwed. And we are screwed because it's not just you and I, it's us. We all get screwed out of this. And I think this is a good example. You're going to see that a lot on a Columbus Day. So I think what we'll do is we'll just spotlight some achievements of the Taino people, which I did not know anything about. And that's the thing, man. And I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. I know you guys like this unscripted. You got some great feedback. Thank you guys once again. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and yeah, hit that whatchamacallit, the merch if you do so. Let's just say right now, only a moron deals in absolutes. How about that? And when you get to that moronic state, then those people are lost. But don't get there, guys. Don't get there. Mix it up. Talk to people who you don't agree with. But don't just talk to them online. Don't talk behind an icon on a stream, any of that stuff. I'm talking about people in person. Listen to them. Listen to them. And hopefully they'll give you a chance to listen. Whew. Trudging slowly, guys. Trudging slowly. All right, my friends. I really appreciate this. We'll see you soon on all our other videos, live streams. God bless, and wherever you're at, keep your slant fuerte.